Happy Tuesday evening to all you sports fans out there. Episode 27 of the Overtime Sports Show coming to you live on our normal Tuesday time slot. My name is Greg Gross. Dan O'Brien is across the way. What's up, Dan? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just loving it. 27 episodes, man. That's just like yesterday. We just got going, and we're 27 episodes in. That's quite an accomplishment, if you ask myself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everyone is a good one. I feel like we get better and better. Got a lot to talk about before we get into any of that. Show me. I don't even have to say it, right?
No, you don't. No, you don't. And I wanna see if you can guess it. We'll give you 3 guesses, and then I'll tell you who it is. So please hold.
Okay. I feel like I've seen that logo before. Is that? It's a bird, right? It looks like it's got a beak.
No, sir. I mean, it does have a beak, but it's not a bird.
It's not a bird. Is it? It looks like an angry, tortoise, or.
I mean, you're on the right track. Yes.
Yeah. I can't get it, but I mean, I can kind of make it out. I don't know. I like the logo. What is it? Who is it?
So when we had our boy Chip Lawrence on, remember I tried to stump him with the Daytona Tortugas?
Yeah.
This is Daytona Tortugas. This is their alternate hat that they wear. So it's a turtle for single A in Daytona. And like I said, Daytona Tortugas. It's like blue, light blue, as you can see, with the white top. It's a nice hat. And I got the shirt to match it. So I kind of color coordinated.
I like it, man. In style. I like the logo. I like the shirt. I kind of noticed that was by design. Good stuff. Yeah. That's a cool looking logo.
Yeah, so this is the team that we went to spring training a couple weeks ago. Remember I told you that they play against all the spring training. They play against the Bradenton Moore Rutas. They play against the Lakeland Flying High Tigers. They play against the Fort Myers Musclemen. Remember we like that logo. They play against the Tampa Tarpoons. So Port St. Lucie Mets. So they're in that same division, which is pretty cool. And I try to go to a game or two a piece because I think, like I mentioned when Chip was on, they have a really nice stadium. It's in downtown Daytona. And it's right on the water, right by a bridge. So very nice stadium. It's actually called Jackie Robertson Stadium. Okay. And it's a really, really cool stadium. Cheap tickets, cheap beers, a lot of fun.
So when they hit homers, it's not like, I think it's the Giants Park or whoever it is in the majors where they actually yoke homers into the water. Is that what they do or no?
It's not that close, no, but it's like right on the water.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah. So before we move off it, what is it about, what do you think it is with minor league sports leagues where a lot of the teams have awesome names, awesome logos, cool jersey designs? That's a cool logo. The other teams that I like, I guess they're not really official, but the Savannah Bananas is pretty cool. The other hockey team I saw when I went to
the Pirates
is the Ghost Pirates. Yeah, awesome looking jerseys. My all-time favorite, I don't know what league they are, but the Rain City Bitch Pigeons.
I've never heard of those bad boys. I like that though.
Listen. If you've never heard of it,
I'm looking it up right now. Rain City.
It's a Seattle team, I think, up in Washington State, and their logo is awesome. It's a pigeon with a raincoat on. I thought for sure you would have known this.
There they are.
Yep.
All right. Hell yeah, that's awesome. That's a really cool logo. I'm going to have to share that for anybody who watches us live.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You want me to share it real quick?
Yeah, if you can, please do it.
All right, hold on 1 second.
We got to share this, watching us and not just listening, Dan is going to share something on the screen here for those that haven't seen it. I thought this by now was well known, but it's
there. It is. That is so awesome.
Rain City Bitch Pigeons.
That is classic.
I love the look. I think the name is super creative. The colors, So that's what I wanted to ask. Do you think maybe people at those ranks, the designers, are just more creative? They have more latitude. I feel like just the minor leagues have almost better names and logos.
Well, it goes off of, I think they're just trying to gain attraction. They're trying to gain any notoriety that they can. They want to get as many fans because everybody knows minor league baseball, minor league sports is hard to make money, hard to get attendance, and you're trying to get an edge. So either that be a really cool emblem, a really cool name, really cool colors, or cheap food, cheap beer. So I think it's all in one is my understanding. I mean, not doing a whole study on it, but that's just what my understanding would be, that they're just trying to get a following. They have, like in Long Island, they have the Long Island Ducks. The Long Island Ducks, they're a baseball team. Then they have the Brooklyn Cyclones for the Mets also. So a lot of them are funny. A friend of the show, Chris Dolan, he has one. The beer is actual a hop. It's actually a hat with a beer hop.
Oh yeah.
So I think when he was on. So
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to gain notoriety, honestly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly the types of things I'm talking about, like the hop. I mean, that's cool. It's different.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Love the hat. Glad you're able to keep it going. Let's jump right into some sports action, and I kind of wanted to lead off with baseball. We were real heavy last show, the back half of last week. We did some predictions. We ran down a lot of the divisions, who we thought was going to win. You did, Dan, some awesome in-depth analysis, even on some of the awards and things like that. I'm sure you're happy as a clam right now. You really couldn't ask for a better start. Me, on the other hand, I don't know what the term or the analogy is. All I can say is there's 3 teams. We're only 5 games in, not even, and there's only 3 teams that have not gotten a win yet, and my team is one of them. I don't know when that's going to come. Looking already at some of their stats, they've 0-4. They've played all of them at home, so you can't even make the excuse, that they're up against some great team in a tough ballpark. I mean, their run differential is awful already. It's -11. They're not scoring anything at all. I mean, 8 runs is just, it's putrid. Their batting is non-existent so far. So I'm not feeling great. I'm really not. It's early, not hitting the panic button. I guess honestly, I've mentioned it before, and I hated the idea that this season was sort of already looked at as an afterthought, and they were sort of looking beyond. And again, very early, but the way that they've started so far, it certainly seems like that's the case. That I shudder to think what the rest of the year is going to look like if they're just sort of coasting now to get through maybe some of the contracts that they have and look towards the future. But it just seems like such a waste already, only 4 games into the season, that this team is not even competitive. But you guys, on the other hand, it's looking awesome. So I kind of want your thoughts on how the weekend went. Was it what you expected, exceeded expectations, or what are you feeling?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously my Yankees are 5-0. The only negative that I would take from it is we actually had to play comeback every single game. We were down in every game, and we had to play comeback, and we almost blew it because Kelly Holmes, our closer, night 1, he got 2 guys on, and it took Juan Soto, who I said was going to be MVP, took him to throw a guy out at home to get the win. And, going on Sunday, we had to do a good play at third base. John Birdie, we actually just acquired him from the Marlins. He had to dive and throw the guy out at first to keep the game in the hands, because Clay Holmes he's going to be shaky all year long. And I knew this. I didn't really mention it last show because we didn't get too deep into the analysis of the Yankees, but he's hit or break. I mean, last year he had really good numbers, but the thing about Clay Holmes, when Clay Holmes is off, he's off. And when he's good, he's good. Because what happens with Clay Holmes is he gets in his head and he starts getting wild, and he starts doing a lot of walks, and he starts giving up a lot of base hits, and that's when you get in trouble. But I mean, to start 5-0, this is the first time we started 5-0 since 1992. We are looking really good. Juan Soto is Juan Soto. I mean, he's making my MVP in the AL look really, really, really good. And we started on the road too. So to go 4-0 against the Astros and to win last night in Arizona 5-2, which is pretty good. So I'm very, very happy. But the crazy thing I wanted to talk about you guys is, I don't know if you saw last night, but you guys went into the extra innings 0-0 and you lose 5-0. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that tells you, but tells you to me, I mean, Boomer and Gio, if the season keeps going how it's going, I think there's a good chance you guys trade Alonso, because he's a free agent end of the year. Mm-hmm. I think you got to get the best you can get for him. And if you keep playing crappy like this, what do you have to lose? Get as much prospects as you can. And it's going to be a frustrating year because your team's not horrible. It's just, you have good pitching. You have Edwin Diaz. You have Alonso. You have Lindor. You have Brandon Nemo. I mean, those are three solid counterpieces. And you got some young guys, Francisco Alvarez, Brett Bate. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very frustrating. And like I said, I mean, 0-4 all at home. That's alarming.
Yeah, it's not been a great start. I'm not writing it off. We know that there's still some guys that are injured. Senga's still hurt. Not Severino, but I think it's McGill McGill's still out. So they're banged up and they've got some pitching that can come back. Obviously getting Diaz back this year is great. We lost him all yet last year. That was a fiasco. But the thing about that is you got to be in a position to use him. You got to be ahead and leading for your closer to even matter. So as much as I would love to see that guy come back with the whole Timmy Trumpet thing, I mean, that was awesome. But one thing at a time, we got to actually have the lead. And like you said, I mean, yesterday I was watching a fair amount of that game, 0-0. They hadn't allowed any runs, which is great, but they hadn't scored any. And so far, that certainly seems like the issue we're having. And you mentioned a couple of the names. You look up and down this roster, there is some talent to be found. But I was looking at the stats, like I don't know if it was last night or during the weekend, but guys like Alonso and Lindor, they were like 0-for-6 or 0-for-8 or something like that. They were struggling to find their first hit a couple games into the season. So that's definitely got me a little concerned, but it is early, and I don't disagree at all. I think you're right. If there's going to be a point in time this season when they draw a line in the sand and either realize that they're keeping Alonso and he'll be part of the future, and they'll obviously have to pay him, or like you said, figure out what you can get for him now as opposed to losing him for nothing. And I get it. It's a strategic decision that management's going to have to make. It's probably going to be an unpopular decision.
Yep.
It sucks to lose a guy that the fans seem to like, who generally does produce, but if you don't have a complement of players around you and a good supporting cast, you have to, I guess, sell that guy off and bring in other assets. It's just, to me, it's kind of like you guys and Soto, maybe the Dodgers and Ohtani. There are some guys out there, for whatever reason, they have an identity to them. And when you have them on your team sort of becomes that identity. I think a lot of people associate Alonso with the Mets. The guy's got personality. He's a beast in the home run derby. I think that matters. I think guys in the locker room gravitate around that. So I hate to lose him for some of those intangible reasons, but it's going to potentially have to be done if the Mets are, just out of the conversation, probably even before the All-Star break. So we'll see how it goes. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the rest of the league. Have there, again, super, super early, but just from the weekend's action, anybody surprise you right now with the way they started, good or bad?
So I got a couple teams that started good. One team is going to be the Detroit Tigers. I mentioned this last week that I think that they're my sleeper pick. I think that they are going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're 4-0. Obviously, they won last night. I just think they have too much young talent. And like I said, my Cy Young Award was Tariq Sobel for the Tigers. And I'm still going to stick by it. I think they have a really good team, playing really good. Great manager, A.J. Hinch. I mean, he was really good with the Astros until all that scandal came down. So that's one. Another one is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 5-0. And we didn't have the show last year, but if you remember correctly, the Pirates actually up until middle of May, early June, they were leading the division. So they were playing really good. They had a really good year last year, and they kind of faded off towards the end. But I mean, they're due for a good team. Like they're due for a good year. Like I said, they got some young players, they got some veterans, and very, very cool about them going 5-0 so far. And a couple teams that are surprising me, obviously, is my Colorado Rockies. That was my other sleeper, and they're 1-4. Unfortunately, they started on the road, so they'll get back to the friendly confines of Coors Field, start drinking some banquet beers, and get back in the Mile High City, And I think they're going to come alive. But another one, would be the Houston Astros. I mean, we beat them 4-0, so that's why they're 1-4. But to be up 3 out of 4 games against us late in the game and to not be able to hold the lead, that is very alarming to me. And they just spent a lot of money on Josh Hader. I don't know if you remember correctly, but they gave him more money than Edwin Diaz. So now he is the highest paid reliever in the majors.
Yeah.
So that's very alarming because they can't hold the lead. I mean, they can get it to Hader, but they can't, they have to get it to Hader. They can't, and they're giving up leads. So those two are my alarming teams. What about you? What are you thinking?
Definitely. I really have to go with the same two, honestly, because they're undefeated right now. That's impressive. There are only a few of a handful of teams that are still undefeated. The Tigers you called. I mean, you said that, and obviously it's early. It's only 4 games in, but you nailed it. So it was interesting to see, as the season progresses, if that holds true. Pirates, same thing. I mean, 5-0. I'm looking at their roster. I know a few guys. Like I know O'Neal Cruz. I remember McCutcheon. He's their DH. I mean, he's getting kind of up there in age now. There's only 1 or 2 other names that really stand out to me. So I'll be honest, I don't know their team very well. So kudos to them for starting the way they do. I did not see that coming.
One more guy. Don't forget your boy Henry Davis, man. Come on,
Henry Davis. That's true.
Yeah, Henry Davis, your spring training legend.
Is he starting? I know that they have 2 catchers on their roster right now. 2 of them are hurt, but then you've got Davis and Jason DeLay. I mean, is Davis starting that you know of?
Yeah, he's starting.
Okay, my boy. Wow.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's young, man. Like I said, he was the #1 draft pick a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Pirates have another good player. They got Mitch Keller. They gave a lot of money beginning of the year. They gave him a big extension, and he's an ace of that. Martin Perez, he's been around for a while. They have David Bednar, who made the All-Star team last 2-3 years. And they also signed Adraldis Chapman. He's on the team now, and he's been a journeyman. So
that's right. I forgot they got Chapman. Yeah, he was throwing heat when we went to the game, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And Roddy Talese, he's been bounced around to a lot of teams, but he's a big, beefy first baseman. He puts out a lot of home runs, and he's having a good start to the year. And they have K. Brian Hayes at third base, and O'Neal Cruz, obviously your boy, because with the home runs. Yep. So they got a nice young team. I'm just surprised. I mean, like I said, they did it good last year. It's going to be interesting to see if they can hold it up.
Yeah. So again, I've said this a few times, so I don't want anybody to think that we're jumping to major conclusions and all that. But just this is a fun early analysis. What do you think? Best team in baseball? In my opinion, it was last year, and I'm thinking, is it going to be again? Toughest division, AL East.
Oh, by hands down. I mean, that was you gave me a slam dunk there, man. You know I was going to go there. If you weren't going to go there, I was going to go there. But I mean, look at the division.
Rays, the only reason I mentioned that is because I thought the Rays would take a step back this year. They got absolutely demolished last night. They made a little bit of a comeback, but it just really wasn't competitive. They are winning so far tonight, but I did think they were going to take a step back. So you never know what the other teams do. Maybe it's not quite the way it was last year, but so far to me, it is the most competitive. And I'm thinking worst division in baseball. Is it NL East? I mean,
I don't know, man. It's early.
It's early, but look at the difference so far. I mean, the Braves.
If you combine all their records, they have 5 wins and 7, 11, 16. They're 5-16 the whole division. If you combine all their wins,
and that's pretty awful.
2 defeated teams.
If you look at actually the NL Central, I'm doing your same thing now, 9, 12, and 4. So you got 16 wins and only 6 losses in the NL
that's
Central.
Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a great start for them. So yeah, just interesting. I mean, looking at the NL East, man, it's pretty brutal. I think I mentioned this. I will be at the Mets Braves game next week on Monday. So I meant to lead out with this. We didn't talk about it. We may or may not do a show next week. Depends on our availability. So later today, we'll be getting to some things that'll occur in a week or two, just in case we don't have a show. But I will be at the game on Monday. So I'll have some thoughts when we come back. I'll definitely be paying very close attention to some of the guys, whoever ends up pitching on that given day. Like I said before, I hope when I go to the game, I hope I get to see Diaz close it out. But
you should bring your own trumpets too. You could be like, boom, 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 boom.
I might do something. I might have.
Yeah, you should. You should.
I bring a sign, so we'll see.
Yep.
But
I did want to circle back on some things you mentioned. So, we were talking about Alonso, and if you guys decide to trade him, the good thing about your owner, it might be like us a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember. We had all this chat with the Yankees, and they ended up trading him to the Cubs, and they got Gleyber Torres and a couple other prospects, and then turned around and re-signed him. So, if you guys do that, that could be an option of obviously getting him back if he really wants to come back to New York. But
Sorry, can I interrupt you? I got a thought, and I don't want to lose my train of thought because the same kind of conversation came up in hockey. The Devils at the deadline had to part ways with Tyler Toffoli, who was leading their team in goals for a lot during the season. Yep. He's only been with the team for half a season. We acquired him in the offseason, and I love the guy. He's not a super speedster. People think he doesn't gel with the rest of the guys we have who are fast. But I thought he was a great contributor, and they got rid of him for the exact same reason you just mentioned. You got to get rid of the guy for assets when you're not in the playoffs. And some people were starting to think that maybe you acquire him back in the offseason. But at least in hockey, in the NHL, that doesn't happen that often. I don't know why. It's just, I guess, sort of a pattern maybe. It just doesn't happen often where guys trade a guy for assets and then are able to reacquire them back in the summer. So essentially they get assets for nothing. Is it different in baseball? Do you see that happen a lot? I would hope they could, but.
I mean, it really just depends on the team. I mean, obviously the Yankees have money, so they probably realized that they weren't going to make the playoffs, which we weren't going to make the playoffs that year, and we traded them to Chicago Cubs, and we got some good prospects. We got Gleyber Torres, obviously, who's our starting second baseman, and we probably what we did is we gave him a big contract and re-signed him. So I don't know if that's what the Mets are going to do, because the other question mark with Alonso is he's 30 years old, and he hasn't really been hurt, but last year he broke his wrist or something, and he was out probably close to half the year. So, the question is, do you really want to give Alonso all this money and all these years? So it's really going to be coming down to what the record is at the trading deadline or right before it. Maybe the All-Star break will be a good parameter of where your team's going to be, because you can't trade Nemo, and you can't trade Lindor, and you can't trade Diaz. I would say those are the three guys that are untouchable on your team. You really got to make a decision on whose the future is. And if you want to bring back Alonso, you're going to have to pay him some money. And it depends if you really want to give him 30 years old, if you want to give him 30, 35 million a year at 30 years, 30 years old. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I wanted to ask that because the timing of it was pretty interesting. The same thing happened in hockey. So we'll see.
I got a couple other things on baseball. So I'm sure you know that they do a Player of the Week release every single week. And the two players that got Player of the Week, obviously my boy Juan Soto. Want to say that I want to give him the stats. So he hit 529, 9 for 17, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 1 double, 3 walks, 2 runs scored, and a .675 slugging percentage in his first 4 games with the Yankees. So that was when he won Player of the Week. And then in the National League, it was Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's a outfielder for the Diamondbacks. He hit 471, 8 for 17, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 2 doubles, 2 walks, 6 runs scored, and a stolen base. So those two guys are off to big stats, and it's going to be interesting to see who keeps winning these awards. I mean, they're nothing major, but it's just something cool to get like a weekly stat, and you can kind of see what's going on a week. I mean, those are pretty impressive numbers, especially for Juan Soto. I mean, being a brand new player on the road and, killing it like that.
Yeah. And you said it. You said he was going to have a good season, be Player of the Year. So.
And then another thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if you saw last night, but Houston Astros pitcher Renaud Blanco made his major league debut when he was 28 years old, and in his 8th career start, he pitched a no-hitter last night for the earliest no-hitter in MLB history.
I saw that there was a no-hitter, but I didn't know the context around it. So that was the youngest guy ever to do it?
No. He made his debut at 28, so he made it late, but it was the earliest to do it in the season.
Career, yeah.
Not to start a career, but in the actual
in the season.
Earliest no in MLB history.
Wow. Yeah, because
it's only been 4 games.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive stuff there.
Good for him. Yeah. Hey, so I was thinking about it yesterday. There's been what, like 20 perfect games in history or something, or 15, something like that.
Yeah, it's like 20 or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And no hitters is what, like 100, 130, something like that.
It is
pretty rare. I mean,
Let me see if they give me a number.
Probably maybe what, 2 a season?
2 or 3 a season. So,
Yeah.
The funny stat, obviously, no hitters are no hits, but people can still get on base with a walk or an error. So perfect game. That's why there's not a lot of perfect games, because perfect games are really, really hard to get, because obviously you got to have 0 everything. So that's why it's very rare. But I thought that was a pretty cool stat. I mean, 5th game of the year, you're throwing a no hitter.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yep. And one other thing I wanted to do about baseball, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, and you can put me on the spot too, but I'm going to ask you first. With the 4 teams that are undefeated, who do you think the first team? Who do you think the longest is to stay undefeated? And then who do you think the longest to stay undefeated? And then 2, who's the first team to get their first loss? So I'll read them off. Yankees are 5-0, Tigers are 4-0, Pirates are 5-0, and the Brewers are 4-0.
Man, I think I know what you're going.
I mean, you just never know.
I'm going to go Pirates. They already have 5 wins, so I have a little bit of an advantage there.
Well, Yankees have 5 wins too, sir.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying
So,
the other.
You think they're going to go the furthest without getting a loss?
I do.
All right. And then what about the team that's going to get their first loss?
Brewers.
Okay. I like
Actually,
it.
So, well.
Go ahead and do your little love, because you got your Mets playing the Tigers next 2 games.
Let's do it. I'm going with the Tigers.
All right. So
snap it tonight, baby.
There you go. So for me, I'm going to go Yankees, obviously. That's a little bit of home love. And then the team that's going to get their first loss, I think it's going to be the Pirates, because like I mentioned before, they're playing really good baseball, but they're bound to have a bad start by one of their young pitchers. And I think it's going to be the Pirates to get the first loss. So it's going to be Yankees that go the furthest, and the Pirates get the first loss.
Okay.
Yep.
So do they all play tonight? The Pirates do not.
No, the Pirates play tomorrow against Washington. Milwaukee
Tigers play us. You guys have the D-backs.
Yep.
And
the Brewers played today and already won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so they're playing tomorrow. So we got Washington for the Pirates, Minnesota for the Brewers, Mets for the Tigers, and the D-backs for the Yankees.
All right, I'm writing this down. So I got Tigers, Pirates, and you got
Yankees.
Pirates.
Yep, Yankees, Pirates.
Got it.
Yeah, buddy.
We will revisit that. If we do a show next week, we'll revisit it. If not, we'll bring it up just to get bragging rights when we return.
Yeah, for sure. Works for me.
Good stuff. So, what do you think? Switch gears to, I wanted to talk just a little bit of golf. We mentioned if we don't do a show next week, we definitely got to get to some Masters action. I did not really follow much of, I guess it was the Houston Open. Didn't really catch any of the action. I did see that I was interested in seeing how Malnati did, who won the Valspar when I was there. Looked like I think he finished 3 under, and he was tied for 36th or something. So I was just glad to see him stay competitive. And now that I kind of got to watch him win an event in person, I really just kind of want to follow the rest of his season and even, I guess, his career. I don't know how old he is, if he's a young guy. I just hadn't heard of him before I went to the Valspar. So I just I watched him a little bit, and curious to see if he's playing in the Masters. I didn't.
No, he is. We talked about it last week. Remember, with that win at the Valspar, he got the invitation to the Masters. So he is playing. Right. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he is playing.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about what's coming up this weekend is the Valero Texas Open. It's a $9 million purse, so there's a lot on the line. I guess it's being played at TPC San Antonio. I'm assuming it's always there, being that this is the
it is
Texas Open. I don't know really anything about the course. I don't even know who won last year. Do you know who won it or who's usually good there?
So Corey Connors won it last year. Matt Kuchar was top. Sam Ryder was top 5. Patrick Rogers, Ricky Fowler was top 10. So the TPC San Antonio, I don't know too much about it, but it's a players championship course. So it's similar to the TPC Sawgrass. That's what that TPC stands for. And I mean, they got a pretty decent field. We were looking at it. So I don't. I think we can. We can make some picks. I mean,
Okay.
I did want to touch on something with Scotty Scheffler. I don't know if you saw some stats that he did this past weekend, but so
I saw he was -2 and he was tied for second, I think, right?
yeah, so he missed it by 1 stroke, and he hit his first double bogey in 218 holes.
Wow.
And he also, so Scotty Scheffler records his first double bogey in 218 holes to end round 2. And he also set history with having the most consecutive rounds under par of 28. So he set 2 records. He broke his own record of double bogeys, and then he set a record of 28 straight rounds under par.
Wow, that's
ridiculous,
crazy.
isn't it?
Doing the math, because these guys play 72 holes a tournament, so divide 218 by 72, and he's played 3 tournaments in a row with no double bogeys.
Yep. And then 28 rounds under par. So divided by 4, that's seven tournaments.
Wow, of under par.
Of under pars.
Which I guess that makes sense. If he's not getting double bogeys, then he's that's wow.
Yeah, pretty cool history.
It really is. That just shows his dominance. I don't think that there's anybody really on his level right now. He's probably not Tiger-esque from the early 2000s. Who knows if we'll ever see something like that again. But right now, I think it's pretty unquestioned that Scheffler is the greatest golfer in the world right now.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. So I think we should go ahead. Let's make a pick for the Valero, Texas, because we got a decent field, like we mentioned. And then let's make a pick for the Masters, and then we'll drink some ice-cold beers, and then we'll come back.
I like it. I like it. If you got anybody in mind.
I do.
Okay. Go for it.
I'm going to go Patrick Rogers. He plays his course pretty good. Like I said, last year, I think he was top 5, and he's a pretty solid golfer. And I know the name a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to go Patrick Rogers for the Valero Open.
I like it. I've got
and I got a curveball for Masters, too, just to let you know. You probably have an idea who I'm going to go with, but I'm doing it.
Okay. This is just a shot in the dark, but I'm going to go Morikawa for the Valero.
Okay. Those are two pretty big names.
Yeah. Tell me you said Rogers?
Patrick Rogers, yes.
Okay.
He spells his name like Rogers does. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Rogers spells his name like Rogers? Oh, got it.
Rodgers.
I just
a lot of people spell it like Roger, like Roger Clemens. So I know what you're trying to do, and I'm just going to let it go one ear and out the other.
You spell Dan like Dan?
No, I spell it like never mind. That's a PG show. It's a PG show, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
All right. All right. I got Morikawa and Rogers. Yep. All right. And what were you going to say? Masters now?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I already got somebody. Do you want to go first? Because we'll leave some suspense for me.
No. Well, let me just do a little look-see here.
So pretty cool right here. The winner of the Valero Texas Open, if he's not already in the field, he will be the 89th person to get the start at the Masters. So that's kind of cool. It says as of April 1st, 88 players have qualified or received a special invitation to the tournament. So if the winner is like a no name and he's not, he gets an invite to the Masters. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay. I'm glad I'm looking this up now, because I kind of forgot. I'm seeing a couple names on here who are invited, and I forgot that the
live guys are able to play.
Yeah, because like DeChambeau is on this list. Do we know? So this is a list of invitees, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've confirmed to be going.
It's like 95% sure. I mean, the Masters is pretty prestigious, so you're really not going to turn down a Masters invite. I mean, that's just my guess.
So you think Rahm is on live, right?
Yep, he just went to live. So I want to say all the live guys are going to want to go, because this is their chance to play with PGA Tour players and kind of say that they're better.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, probably 99.9% of the live guys are definitely going to be there.
What's his face? Who was pretty prominent on Full Swing last season?
Kepka?
Yes.
Yeah, he's there.
I'm going with Kepka.
Okay. So go ahead and start a drum roll here. When we first started talking about golf, you asked me some interesting questions, and I gave you some interesting answers. And this being the first major of the year, I am going to go with Sir Eldrick Tiger Woods.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I told you.
Wow.
I told you.
Wow.
Uh-huh. I told you. I got faith in him still. I still have faith in my boy Eldrick Tiger Woods. That's
Well,
my dude.
let's not forget. I'll have to go back in my notes. We made that little wager bet.
We did. I said he'd make you got half the majors, and I said he'd make all the majors. So first major, he's got to make the cut, and I said he'd make all 4 major cuts.
Yeah, and I think when he was in a tournament a month or two ago,
yeah, he had a flu,
cut, but it wasn't a major.
Yeah, he had a flu. He had a withdrawal. He had a bad sneeze and cough. It's okay. Happens to everybody.
Let's see what he has for the Masters.
Just saying. I told you it's gonna be a ballsy pick, my man.
It's very ballsy. Wow, I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought you were.
No,
man. I wasn't expecting that. I like it though. You know, I'm rooting for the guy pretty hard. I would love to see that. Do you know what that would do for the sport and just sports in general? I mean, that would be such a great talking point for a very long time, because it's if he can pull off a win like that with the competition he's going to face, because we've talked about it. Like I think even though we just said Scotty is pretty head and shoulders above some of the field, but who knows if we'll ever see another Tiger level of dominance. But I think the field of golf right now is as deep as it's been in a long time. And if Tiger could win a tournament like the Masters this year, it's going to immediately stir all those conversations. Like, is he back? Can he catch Jack Nicklaus? You know, I mean,
and then they're going to come to Overtime Sports Show and they're going to say, let me go back. And who said yes to all that?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I hope it happens.
Just saying, man. I mean, he did this in 2019 and he shocked the world when he won the Masters in 19. So he's primed for it. He's primed and ready.
Yeah.
And then he's going to promote his new clothing line, Sunday Red. So it's just going to be a mountain of success for my dude. I'm excited for him.
All right. We shall see.
Yep. That's in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A week from Thursday, obviously. But yeah. 2 golf tournaments.
Yep. All right. I got those predictions locked. Do you want to take a little quick hiatus and come back, drink some beers?
Yeah, buddy.
Awesome. All right. You are listening and watching to Overtime Sports Show. Stick with us. We'll be back in a few.
Yep. Boys, the benefit of watching live, if you want to hear that song.
That song just hits hard on a Tuesday evening.
Every time, man. I wish we could I wish our boy would let us make it happen, but that's okay. That's here nor there.
Yeah. So, according to my notes, I think you went first last week.
I did.
So I'm going to do mine, and I'll just lead out by saying it's going to be a tough act to follow last week.
You had a killer. Yeah,
I did. That beer was
Mars and Brothers was amazing. It looked amazing.
Absolutely delicious. So this is tough act to follow. This is actually the one that I initially wanted to lead out with last week, but when I saw that Mars Brothers can, I just had to change my mind. But this one, I think looks pretty cool. And this one, it says pulp on the can, and it is an American Pale Ale, but I just love the simplicity of the can. I mean, to me, this looks like an Orange Crush or an Orange Fanta, something like that. And I love those drinks, and I think this is probably going to have a similar taste, I guess, but obviously with the deliciousness of some alcohol infused and maybe some hops. Yeah. It says on the top of it, proudly brewed on the shores of the Chop Tank River in Cambridge, Maryland. I don't know exactly where that is. It's from RAR Brewing, RAR Brewing. Okay. They got a link set on the back. So I've not heard of these guys before. And again, it's just, I guess,
I've never heard of them either.
It's just called Pulp. So I expect this to have a burst of flavor. And again, it's an American Pale Ale, and it is 6.2%. So
okay,
we're going to pack a decent punch. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for citrus flavored beers too, so this looks interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you pouring away.
No, I know I need a
practice makes perfect, dude.
I know I need a bigger glass.
Well, no, that was good for you. I think the 12 ounces fit. I think it's 16 ounces don't fit there.
They do.
That's nice, yeah.
So this is looks a little bit lighter than some of the others, but which is kind of surprising. But Let me taste or smell and see if I get an aroma. Oh yeah, I mean this is
You smell the citrus?
absolutely.
Okay.
I have a feeling just by the smell, this might be a little bitter and a little more hoppy than I might like, but
Boy,
I'm going to be fair just by because there is an aroma for sure.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh wow,
My man.
I wanted to give you that. It's good. It's the orange is there for sure, and the little tinge of bitterness. Let me give it one more just to try to describe it. It's a little kind of tart. To be honest, it's a little on the sour side. That
Really?
yeah, it's like it's a little pungy. Um, I was kind of expecting a little more with the name pulp. Like I don't know. I guess I thought it was going to have a little bit more of like an orangey characteristic. Um, it's okay. I don't know that I would get it again or often. It's not horrible. This one to me it deserves a pretty average ranking. So I'm gonna go 7.9 for this one.
Okay.
It's not
So
horrible. It's not. It didn't meet the threshold for an 8.
yeah.
I don't want to beat it up and say it's terrible. It's okay. It's a decent beer. So that's Pulp from Raw Brewing.
Yep. So the reason why it's going to be like that is because the pale ale is not going to be like a wheat. You're probably looking for like a wheat beer, and the pale ale kind of gives it more hops. But
Definitely does.
Yep. Going off of mine, you're going to love this. Look at the can art, so you can kind of see it's purple, and it has like a tape. You see?
Yeah, like a gradient or a fade.
Yeah. So it's called the Purple Tape, and it's from a brewery that I've been before down in Fort Lauderdale. I actually did a Irish red ale a couple weeks ago from the same brewery called Three Sons Brewing Company out of where's it out of? Dania Beach, Florida, which is really close to Fort Lauderdale. And this one, like I said, it's a hazy double Indian IPA. So it's 8% and it's a pint. And we'll go ahead and give it a try. But I'm pretty excited for it because, like I said, I've been to this brewery. I did their Irish red, and I actually bought more for St. Patty's Day because that's how good it was.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for hazy IPAs, as you know. So definitely has that hazy IPA color. And you could definitely smell the hops already.
That's hazy for sure.
That's the hazy color that I know and love, man. So giving it a smell, you can definitely smell that it's going to be very hoppy and it's going to be citrusy. So let's go ahead and give it a flavor. Just for you and Weatherly. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is delicious.
Is it?
Yeah. 8.4. That's
8.4.
good.
8.4. Okay.
That
solid,
is
solid
delicious.
score.
So 8%. I don't know how many you can pound of those because you'll be feeling them. But, I mean, you know me. I'm a sucker for hazy IPAs. And this is a double IPA. So that's why it's got the extra alcohol volume. But it's kind of to describe it, it's very citrusy. So that's why I like it. And then it kicks you with the hops. But it's not overly powering where it's too harsh to drink.
Yeah. Give me the name again.
The name is the Purple Tape from Three Sons Brewing out of Dania Beach, Florida.
Got it.
So very, very tasty. 8.4.
I like
really
it.
Good. Yeah.
Solid score.
Yep. So let's go ahead and get us a cheers. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. So I think we should go ahead and share our bracket and the standings. So I don't know if everybody can see, but we have some people on there that could be some new fans of the show. Gary and Isaac. Not really sure who they are, but what it looks like is everybody has UConn. And if you look right here, I'm going to highlight it. I don't know if I can highlight it, but there's somebody right there that has Purdue. And looks like if Purdue wins, that somebody might win the bracket.
What a self-glossing son of a
beep. I'm just saying, man. I'm not trying to do anything, but the max that I can get is 11-10. But these other guys can get more, but they all have UConn and I'm the only one who has Purdue. So
Yeah.
if Purdue wins, and then if it's Purdue UConn, it's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens.
I have to give you credit. You're the only one who picked Purdue.
Yeah, the whole team, everybody. Yeah.
I was the only one who picked Creighton, and I knew that was a bit of a reach, and they got bounced. They had a decent tournament, but your team is still alive, and that's going to be the X factor for you. I mean, if Purdue wins it, you win it all.
I think I need UConn to go out on Saturday, and I need Purdue to play NC State in the tournament, the championship game, because they might get more points if they go to the championship game. Because, like I said, this guy, I don't really know how the points work. I don't know if you do, but it's going to be close. If Purdue beats UConn, they're still going to get a lot of points. You know what I mean? I don't know how that's really going to transpire.
Yeah, I don't either. So I'm just trying to look at the columns where it says how many points you got in round of 64. So like you got 230 in the round of 64. You got 232, 120, and 80. So your boy Dolan and a couple of people got 160 in the Elite Eight. But it doesn't show. It shows you, like you said, the max, but it doesn't show. Oh, there is a group forecast tab. If you scroll to the top.
Where are you seeing this?
Right in the middle, the red.
Oh, button. Yeah. Sorry.
What does that mean? So it predicts the chances that each bracket has.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at – so I actually have the best is what it says, 50.1. Does that show right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Show my path to win. I need Purdue to win it all.
Wait a minute, but why would – oh, you know what? You see why these other people with UConn, like Answer Key and this other ESPN fan, they're 0% because they both have the same winner and they're already down points, so they can't.
Oh yeah, look, it says it right here. This bracket cannot win the Overtime Sports Show with the little right here. See, with the little crying face.
Oh.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I like that.
That's great. So sorry, who is Answer Key?
Oh, that's maybe a new fan of ours that we don't really know.
I'm trying to look at the name.
Isaac.
Sorry, Isaac. Appreciate you playing, but
so technically it's between me and Gary.
Yep, you and Gary.
Yeah. And I have 50.1. He's got 49.9.
Right now, those are the only two people that can win.
I guess so. Yeah. Right.
Wow. It's already. Let me go back. Is that really the?
I'm gonna hit the back button here. Look.
Yeah.
I guess that's projected. And if we go here to groups, Overtime Sports Show. I mean, everybody else has UConn. I guess they just can't because they tie. I guess UConn. Yeah. If UConn wins, he wins. If Purdue wins, I win. I think that's what it is.
Yep. Because everyone else, it's me and Eric and Adam. We're all at the bottom. I guess that makes sense.
Wow. All right. Go Purdue.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, on that thought, I guess, has the tournament kind of transpired the way that you thought? I mean, Purdue, you got your winner is still around, which is great. There's been a couple upsets. I guess knowing what you know now, I'm sure you wouldn't change your winning pick because they're still alive. But would you do anything different? Anybody completely surprise you or stand out?
So Kentucky, obviously, and
that was early.
Yeah, that was early. And I don't know if you know, I do want to pull something up real quick about NC State. I don't know if you know NC State's background, but I know
a little bit about it because they're near and dear to my heart. So let me just say something real quick. 1983, they won the championship, and their coach was Jim Valvano. And when the ESPYs come around each year, I'm always kind of moved about his speech and his story. By all accounts, he was a great guy. He grew up in New York, like I did. He's got Italian heritage like I do. So just some of that kind of connection resonates with me. But kind of cool, I guess you could say. The town I grew up in Long Island is Seaford, and the high school that a lot of my family went to, I moved just prior to going there, but I remember as a kid watching some of my older cousins play basketball for Seaford High School, and their gymnasium is named the Jim Valvano Auditorium because he went to that high school. And I always thought that was kind of cool. I remember that even as a kid. So that is what I know about NC State. And I don't think they've had a ton of success really since that. I think that was their only national championship in '83. So that's what I know about them. Is that kind of some of what you were going to say? Or?
Not necessarily. So I want to bring you back to March 9th or the beginning of March. I want to bring you back to the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
NC State is a 500 team. They lose to North Carolina, they lose to Duke, and they lose to Pittsburgh. So they go into the ACC tournament with no chance of making the NCAA tournament. So what that means is at a 500 team, I think they were like 19-18 or 19-12, and they needed to run the table in the ACC tournament to first make the NCAA tournament to get an automatic berth. And then they had to come in at 11 seed, and they had to beat a bunch of lower seeds to go. So they play Louisville. So in the ACC tournament, Louisville, Syracuse, Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina. So they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight days, and they beat 5 teams to make the NCAA tournament. They go in as an 11 seed, play Texas Tech, beat Texas Tech, play Oakland, play Marquette, and play Duke, and now they got Purdue. So right now they're on a 9-game winning streak, and they're playing for their lives. And the cool thing about them is they have nothing to lose, and I think that's what gives them such swagger and what gives them such tenacity to play. They have DJ Burns. I'm sure you've seen him. You know, the big bruiser. He's playing really good. The coach, they're just really playing really well, and I think it's just a testament to their coach won and their whole team as a whole. I mean, like I said, 9 straight wins to get where they're at the regional champion or the Final Four on Saturday against Purdue. So very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's a good story. I mean,
like I said, I don't know if you knew that, but it was pretty impressive to have to win 5 straight games in 5 straight days to actually just make the NCAA tournament and then win as an 11 seed. So it means you got to beat a 6 seed. You got to beat a bunch of teams that are, above you.
Yeah, I didn't realize their road to get here was that tough.
That's why it's so cool.
It made me think of something. I don't think we talked about this on the show since the tournament began. I don't think I even mentioned it to you, even off air. But you know who's not in this tournament at all that I thought was just a shoo-in? We talked about them a lot on the show.
UMBC?
No, more of a local team.
Oh, yeah, USF.
Yeah.
They got snubbed. I know we didn't talk about them, but yeah, they got snubbed, and they were in the NIT, and I think they lost in like the second or third round. But yeah, they got snubbed because they had a bad loss in the Big East tournament or the All-American tournament. Yeah,
I think I was talking to Eric, and we were thinking that did they lose their conference championship? Is that because they were running away with? I think their division.
They lost to UAB in the quarterfinals, I believe. That's why I think since they went out so early, I think that's why they didn't get any love. And then UAB beat them, and I think UAB won the championship, and that's why UAB made the tournament.
Got it, man. Yep. It just that was. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think we had talked about it. We
did not
on the show. They had a 13 or 14 game winning streak, and to not even get
it was like 17. It was longer.
17 something. Yeah. It was up there. So I felt really, really bad for those guys. But anyway, should be a great Final Four. So I know I got you. You've got Purdue winning it all, but you just gave me the old song and dance about NC State. You still feeling good about Purdue?
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I'm talking about my boy Zach Edey, 7'5", Bradenton boy from IMG. I don't know how your homework assignment's going, but we talked about that last week.
Yep,
about your homework. Okay, it's going. It's in progress. I like it.
In progress.
But I think Purdue easily handles NC State. I think they're going to run out of energy. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Zach Edey's numbers, but I believe last game he had 40 points, and he's just tearing it up. Nobody can stop that guy. I don't know. They try to double team him, and people get fouled, and he goes to the free throw line. So if he hit more free throws, he would average about 50 points a game because he's hitting about 75% free throws.
He just gobbles up everything. I mean, I watched a little bit of him. Just the rebounds are coming to him left and right. He's able to box people out, and it's just incredible. That's just a huge advantage they have. So I think you're probably right. To be honest, though, I'll be rooting for NC State. I hate to say it.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'd like to see the Cinderella story continue a bit and give our boy Gary a chance to upset you and win some money. So,
Our boy Gary. Look at you.
oh yeah. I am a man of the people. Okay,
I know you are.
Our listeners who support us. So I am on the Gary and the Husky train for sure.
So the Huskies, we mentioned it a little bit last show. You know that they have only trailed for like 24 seconds this whole NCAA tournament.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It's something crazy. And the way that they're winning is just ridiculous. I mean, they beat Illinois 77-52. They beat San Diego State 82-52. They beat Northwestern 75-58. And they beat Stetson 91-52. So the smallest margin of victory was 15 points over Illinois. Everything else have been 20 plus. Isn't that ridiculous?
No, 25 points over Illinois.
25 over Illinois. So the smallest one, yeah, that's wild. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, so they're all just blowouts. They're not even close.
And that's why I'm going to go an upset. I'm going to pick Alabama over UConn.
Okay, wow.
And then I'm going to pick Purdue over Alabama.
Okay.
Not because I want to win. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Do you think NC State over Purdue, and what do you think, UConn or Alabama?
As much as I'm rooting for NC State, my heart says NC State, but my head says Purdue. Alabama has I think shocked a lot of people. I didn't know a ton about them. I think all the focus and the attention's been on UConn, but for all the reasons you just mentioned, that their games are almost non-competitive, just the way they're dismantling opponents. I think they win. So I think it probably is a pretty awesome showdown between two number one seeds, UConn and Purdue. It's probably as good of a toss-up as you could possibly conjure up. If that actually comes to fruition and it's 1 versus 1, I hate to say it as much again as I'm pulling for Gary. I think Purdue wins it because I think Edey's the X factor. I think he's that much of a difference maker, and it's very hard to win back to back. It's. I think the last team to do it was the Gators, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yes, in
07,
08, 09, or 07, 08, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So that's my thoughts. I think we're going to see a great 1 versus 1 matchup with Purdue probably getting the edge, but what I hope happens is I kind of hope NC State wins it all. If that happens, I don't know what happens to the brackets then.
Probably UConn, because those guys have such a big lead over me. So I think UConn would win. I think the guys with UConn would win because, like I said, they have But another cool thing, I don't know if you noticed it, but Alabama, their football team and their basketball team made the Final Four. And we also don't really talk about women's sports, but NC State women and NC State men made the Final Four, and UConn women and UConn men made the Final Four, which, like I said, it's kind of a cool stat. I mean, it's cool to be at that school when that happens. So I thought those are pretty cool stats to entertain.
It is. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, it's got to be a great atmosphere on campus. There's got to be such a buzz. It's got to be such a fun time, to be part of that school. So,
And then one last thing, like I said, we don't really talk about women's college basketball, but I'm going to call it out right now. Caitlin Clark, Iowa, they're going to upset and beat South Carolina in the championship game because South Carolina's undefeated. So I'm going to go Iowa winning the women's championship with Caitlin Clark. I don't know if you know about that girl, but she's something else.
Yeah, I've started seeing some of the Barstool stuff. They have memorabilia called her, I guess.
Yeah, she's something else. I watched a little bit of that game last night, just flipping through. I mean, she's shooting 5-10 yards behind, or 5-10 feet behind the 3-point line. And she scored 41 points last night against LSU, defending champion. So
is she a senior? Or?
She's going to the draft next year. So she's like a fifth-year senior. She can come back if she wanted to, but she's going to go to the draft.
Gotcha.
So actually, I think that they play South Carolina in the first round of the Final Four, but I think they're going to upset them and give South Carolina their first loss because South Carolina's undefeated.
Okay.
So go Iowa. Go Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, we're a little over the hour mark. We got a couple more things I think we want to try to squeeze in. You got any thoughts? I don't have a ton of thoughts of the NBA right now. I think we got a few weeks left. Hockey's pretty fast approaching. I got a couple thoughts if you do.
Yeah, lead them off, and then I'll lead mine off, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I got a couple thoughts. I was at the Lightning Islanders game on Saturday,
Yeah.
and I know you probably got some thoughts on the Islanders. They struggled to win that game. Last I checked, they were actually losing tonight to the Blackhawks. They have a chance to try to squeak in, I guess technically as my Devils do, but got to watch the Lightning and the Islanders both. The Lightning at this point look like they're going to be pretty much in the playoffs, probably, and
Yeah,
in
they
that
got about
wild
10
card one
points. They're not
spot.
going to catch them. They got about 10 points. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they're probably in that wild card one spot. They have a chance to catch the Leafs, I think, down the stretch. But let's just say they don't. Um, I think looking at the East as a whole, I think they have some of the best top end teams in the
Yeah.
league.
We talked about that last show too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
and what I mean is, the Bruins, the Panthers, and the Rangers. Rangers, it just kills me that they're
Hurricanes
still.
too. Don't forget about the
I was going to
Hurricanes.
say the
Yeah.
Hurricanes do not get. I think a lot of people forget about them. They
They
don't
do. They
get a
do.
lot of love. They were very good last year. I mean, they are a lot of the reason why the Devils didn't go deeper, because they ran into a buzzsaw in Carolina.
Yeah.
So I would watch out for Carolina down the stretch, but those top four teams I think are the best in the league. But when it comes to consistency, I think the West is completely stacked. All 8 teams are solid and deserving of the playoffs, as opposed to the East. The last spot in the Metro, whether it's the Flyers, the Capitals, if your Islanders somehow squeak in or something, Devils, whoever gets that last spot in the Metro and the wild card number 2, they're all just, to me, like going to be backing into the playoffs, and I think they get bounced in the first round real quick. So to me, that's kind of how the last, I guess, 2 weeks we have left. Most teams have 8 or 9 games left. That's kind of how it's shaping up. For those that are watching and listening, if we don't do an episode next week before the season ends, make sure you check out our Facebook page, because we are going to put together a bracket, and we'll have an invite there, and there'll likely be some more money on the line, just like we did with our March Madness brackets. So definitely check out our page, stay tuned to that, and make sure you sign up and register. But yeah, Dan, that's how it's kind of shaping up to me. I really love going to games. I love going to hockey games at all throughout the season when I can, but I really like going like I did this weekend as the season's coming to a close, because it gives you a good view of how the teams are performing. Assuming they're healthy, you get to look at their roster, see the depth that they have. And I think the Lightning can make some noise. They had a shaky start to the year when Vasilevsky was hurt. There's been some movement in the offseason, but they bring on a guy like Duclair, who's really stepped in quite well. He allows a guy like Brandon Hagel to sort of slide back down to the second line. They have 2 really deep lines, and their defense, even though they're missing Sergachev, their defense is pretty solid. I mean, Hedman leads that group, and there's a couple other guys like Chernak there that you can count on. And then more than anything else, I fall back on a guy like John Cooper, who's the longest tenured coach in the league right now.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
He's got a good resume. I mean, he's taken them to 2 cups, to 3 overall finals, actually 4 finals, because I think 20.
Yeah, I went to that finals against the Blackhawks. You went there too with the Chaz Michael.
Yes. So they were, so technically it's taken them to 4 finals, I guess, 2-2 record.
Yep.
But that's a difference maker too, I think. So to me, that's kind of how it's shaping up. I like the Lightning to maybe make some waves. I don't know if you got some thoughts on your Islanders and anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, just going off of what you were saying, the Lightning have that experience. You hit it right there. I mean, they still have Stamkos, they still got Hedman, Braden Point, John Cooper, Vasilevsky. I mean, they got a lot of that core that made that one back, went to 3 straight Stanley Cups. So they're prized for a run. And, going off the top 4 in the East, I know we talked about this multiple times. I hate how they have the playoff structured. I mean, that, the 2v3, 2v3. And
I hate it too. Yeah, I can't stand it.
Why not go back to how it was, where it's 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5? That's how it should be. So, I mean, what's really going to suck is, depending on who gets the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed, those teams are going to be playing the wild cards, and then the Panthers will be playing the Maple Leafs and the Hurricanes will be playing the Flyers if that's how it ends today. Very, very frustrating. But to talk about my Islanders, I mean, I mentioned it last show before that. It's like they're alternating losses. Ever since we went on that 6-game win streak, we'll play really good against the Jets and then we'll lose. Then we'll play really good against the Florida Panthers in Florida, and then we'll go to Tampa the next night and lose, 4-0 or 4-1. And then we go to Chicago tonight, which Chicago, they have Bedard. But besides that, I mean, who else do they have? We're losing to them. So we're only 3 points out, but I don't think we deserve the playoffs, man, because like you said, if we make the playoffs, it's going to be going backwards in, and we're going to be exhausted because we're going to be playing so hard to make that A seed, and then we're going to get killed by either the Rangers, the Hurricanes, the Panthers, or the Bruins. So maybe we just I don't want to say that we shut them down, but maybe we, give it maybe one last push. I mean, if we lose tonight, that's not going to help us. And, we're 74 games after tonight. We have 7 more games left. So it's very frustrating.
Want to revisit something real quick. I had to go back. It looks like 6 episodes. We did some miss predictions
we did.
as the season was coming. So you had in the West the Kings to make the playoffs, and it looks like that's probably going to be true. They've got a game in hand on the Blues, and they're in that second wild card spot. So I think you'll be right there.
Nice.
You had your Islanders to make the playoffs.
I know.
They're not out yet. It ain't looking great.
No.
Potentially 1-1 there. You also had the Knights to miss the playoffs, and they're looking pretty good right now. They're close with the Predators, tied basically, but it looks like they might be able to hang on. So you might not have that one. And then the Wings you had missing the playoffs, and it's looking like so far you might be right. They're on the cusp right now. Anything could happen. They're literally kind of tied with the Caps. They've played more games, but I have a feeling you're going to be right on that one too. So you might go kind of 2-2, I think. The other side for me, I had in the West the Predators to make the playoffs, and again, it's close.
That's looking nice. Yep.
Yeah, they're in the first wild card right now, and they got a little bit of a cushion, so I might be good there. I had the Blues to miss the playoffs, and they're a few points back with a game in hand. So if they don't catch the Kings, I might be right and go 2-2. On the other side, I had the Devils missing the playoffs. They're not mathematically eliminated yet, but they're on life support, so I think I'll get that one. So I could have 3 there, but then the one I might not get right is I had your Islanders making the playoffs as well, and we might both be wrong on that one. So just wanted to revisit those predictions. We were so far, I think,
pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close, about half right, 60-70%. So we'll see.
But just the one you said you were going to be a man of the people. So if I win the basketball tournament, I'm going to be a man of the people, and I'm going to drag the winnings over to the playoffs for the squad, for the show. Yeah, look at this guy.
Is it Christmas or something? I mean, wow.
Hey, every day people listen to this show is Christmas.
Love it. You are a man of the people. I like that.
So there you go.
Good stuff.
So I think besides that, I think that's all I really have. What about you?
That's all I had. We didn't get a chance to touch on NBA and some other things, but we went long, and stay tuned. We'll put an announcement out if we decide to do a show next week. It's going to depend on some scheduling for Dan and I, but definitely make sure you check out our socials, because we will be distributing some playoff brackets. We want to get people involved, and it's a fun thing. And as you just heard from one of the hosts here, if he ends up with some money, he's going to double it down and put it on the line. So
make sure I'll put on the line. I'm just going to carry it over, and it'll just be 25 will be 50. So
exactly, and it costs you nothing. So it's fun, chance to win something. But hopefully we delivered another good show. Got some more predictions, some golf, and a lot to talk about when we come back. But that's all I got as well.
That's all I got. Tiger Woods, here we go.
Yes, sir. See everybody on the other side.
Peace.